Hi, welcome. I thought I'm gonna solve a XAT VA questions. This is a XAT 2017 paper. I will leave a link to the paper. You can download it and try and solve it yourself. I'll probably do it in two parts. I'll pick up the verbal ability questions and maybe reading comprehension as the subsequent video. One of the things that I really reason why I wanted to kind of do this video is because that there'll be a lot of you who are actually taking the XAT, and you still have a little hangover about the CAT, and you may be wondering whatever learning that you had in the CAT, can I apply that to XAT? So why not? Okay. And there is also this feeling that XAT is tough. It has got very difficult paper. Yes, it is tough. There is no doubt about it. But it's not impossible. There is still logic and rules to every question. So this would be some sort of a helpful video for all those of you who are trying to prepare for the XAT. So that's XAT 2017 paper, ladies and gentlemen. This had 24 questions of verbal ability. So this first question 24, and there are how many is reading comprehension? So we had about so we have about 12 questions, which is non-RC questions, and the remaining 12 is reading comprehension questions, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 passages. So maybe the RC I'll do it separately. But I really want to look at the verbal ability section. Okay. So one thing I want to start by saying is that this logical ability, when somebody says logical ability, is more like critical reasoning and not necessarily as a logical reasoning that we understand in the CAT. So that's something that you want to look at. So you find questions like these in the XAT, which has got the short passages and a particular question that has been asked. You can call it critical reasoning. That's one word that you can use. Yeah, in all these questions, I always believe that you should just read the stuff first and then read the question and then look at the options. Most of the time, it may sound very counterintuitive that the people say that it's always better to kind of read the short question, figure out the question first, and look for what is going to happen. It's always I believe personally is that you read it. Look at the instruction. Look at what the instruction is. Read the following paragraphs and answer the question that follows. That's the order in which you should do it, right? So let's give it a shot, ladies and gentlemen. Answer choice question, paragraph number 1. Okay. Paragraph. So there are 2 paragraphs here. So let's look at this paragraph. Paragraph number 1. The current trend indicates that food and vegetable inflations continue to be pain points. Food inflation rose to 7.79% in June from 7.47%, and vegetable inflation rose to 14.74% from 10.85%. In the weeks ahead, the volatile food inflation will determine the course of overall inflation. Paragraph 2. For RBI too, the trend is a concern since under the current agreement with the government, if the inflation exceeds 11%, it will have to explain to the government why it could not be contained. The lower limit is 2%. So if you look at this paragraph, the paragraph number 1 starts by talking about a certain trend. Makes a claim. That claim is that the food and vegetable inflation continue to be pain points, and then kind of explains that, giving more detail in terms of why that is so the case. And the second paragraph gets into saying that for RBI specifically as well, it's going to be a concern for RBI as well. So there is probably a trend that has been explained, and some sort of a impact of the trend for a specific entity, in this case RBI. So that's a paragraph. Which of the following option is the most appropriate? The answer choice number A says the first paragraph states a cause, and the second illustrates the effect. So look at the cause and effect relationship, you actually cannot find. So actually you just don't see the cause. What the food inflation is rising, or is rising currently. But why that has happened? What is the reason for it? What is the causation? There is no causation happening. Merely stating that this is a situation, and the situation is going to have an impact to RBI. It's a concern for RBI as well. So there is no cause and effect relationship happening here. The first provides information, and the second highlights potential application of the information. And this makes good sense, right? The first provide information, the information about some sort of a trend, and how does it applied to a particular case, which is a potential application of the of that information. So this is on hold, ladies and gentlemen. So C says the first paragraph is an assertion, and the second second provides an illustration of that assertion, which is incorrect. So he has made an assertion here, or a point of view here. The food and vegetable inflation continue to be pain point, and actually the assertion is explained in the first paragraph itself. There is the second paragraph role is not to explain the first paragraph. The second paragraph role is more in terms of looking at how it impacts something else. How is a trend? How is this trend or the concerning trend? How is this trend a concern for RBI as well? So there is no explanation to what is mentioned in the first paragraph, merely an application of what is mentioned in the first paragraph, right? C goes D. The first paragraph highlights inflation conditions, and the second hints the RBI's inefficiency in managing the situation. The RBI inefficiency seems to be kind of negative. The author does not say that RBI is wrong here, merely says that it's a concern for RBI, which says that if there is a current agreement, and it's kind of saying that if X were to happen, then RBI would have to explain to that thing to the government. The passage is never saying that RBI is inefficient, or author is not trying to attack RBI in any way, any shape, form, or manner, ladies and gentlemen. So D is also incorrect. Let's look at E. The first paragraph highlights pain points, and the second contains a remedy of it. There is no solution being mentioned. There is no problem solution structure. The answer choice is B. So in this kind of question, even if let's say you probably will have to do a bit of elimination when it comes to the XAT passage. The options may you may feel something is confusing. Usually what happens in every question, you see that either something that tells you pick me, which is the option telling you this is the right answer choice, or the option telling you say ditch me, which is saying I'm not the wrong answer choice. So sometimes there could be absolutely some pick me option kind of tells you, and you actually pick that one up, or at least you do elimination as well. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is answer to question number 1. Let's have a look at question number 2. This is a poem. I think the US way of saying is poem. I think they say poem. But I think the British way of saying is poem. I don't know the Indian way of saying poem. It doesn't matter, except okay. So when you look at the poems like this, what you need to understand is that a poem has got a lot of implied meaning. So there is a meaning within the sentence. It's not something which is out there. There are all these hidden meaning. It's figure of speech. It's going to have allegory. It's going to have metaphor, simile. It's going to have imagery. The imagery that creates a certain kind of a feeling. So whenever you read a poem, you have to kind of read the poem with that thing in mind. Is that you probably should be able to relate from a poet's point of view. So whenever you read a poem, you think about poet, and poet is always involved in a poem, right? People don't write poem about thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics is the law of thermodynamics. You don't see a poem like that. Not that somebody can write. Well, of course, you can write a poem. I don't know how many of you write poems. If you write a poem, let me know in the comment box, or maybe even post your poem. One stanza. Why not? Okay. So let's understand the poet. Okay, let's just read it. Fragrant with steam, where the days and nights are red with many braziers, in the beloved house of my father, my mother. Obviously, there are some words here. Braziers. At least in India we don't. This is barbecue stuff. I think the stove is called braziers. So that's what it is. So it's kind of but the thing that you get here is that look at the word that is being used. A beloved house of my father and my mother. So it's kind of saying something that is very personal here. You can see a sense of a personal thing, and this also talk about those were the days. So reminiscing about the past, and a sense of nostalgia, and a very personal attachment here, and that personal has to be with the poet's parents. It's a beloved house, not just a random beloved house. It's a beloved house of parents. So it's kind of saying that's a house. While this is being described there in terms of what happens in the house, but the point about this is about the beloved house of my father, my mother. It's very personal in that sense. Which of the following option is a closest expression of the poet's feeling? So now you're looking at the feeling of author. Which option gives that feeling? That personal feeling and personal attachment to the house that belongs to her parents. That's what we are looking at. Okay, obviously we'll not get the exact one, but there'll be that option which will be very close to that idea, and that would be the right answer choice. Let's look at A. The house was located in beautiful settings, probably surrounded by flowers. In the mountain, this some I say that the poet feeling about the house because of the location, where it is, how the beauty of the house. So that's not better. That is kind of external manifestation of the beauty of the house, but it's much more internal, ladies and gentlemen. It's about the beloved house of my mother, my father. This answer choice A would be a kind of incorrect. There is a noise out, some work is going on. So, but we should manage, it's okay. The ancestral home was probably the most important house in the community. Community is like, that's not personal. It's not about community, it's my house, my parents' house. So B is not the answer choice, ladies and gentlemen. What about C? The poet fondly recalls a pleasant climate. Climate. मौसम मस्त है भाई, ha ha ha, 24 degrees Celsius. Wow, I don't need an AC at all. But where is the climate? Obviously, it does make sense. Steam. The poet misses the braziers and the steam she enjoyed during a summer. He's not missing those braziers and steam. It's about a beloved house of parents. So it's more in terms of parents. So then you see, he makes a lot of sense, right? Everything about the house felt special because of her parents' love for her. Now you obviously see that where is parents' love mentioned? Well, when they say that everything about the house is it kind of extreme here? That's what is going to happen to the problem. Here, the question is asking the closest expression to the poet's feeling. What is the poet's feeling here? And the closest that comes to the feeling of the author here is about the parents' love for her, or that the beloved house, everything about the house that is special for her, and that's what you actually get here, right? So when you look at questions, answer choice is E. When you look at poems, you have to look at the implied meaning that you can see in the poem, right? So that's what you need to look at. Okay. The next couple of questions is paragraph jumble. The good news, of course, in this particular case is that you have options. It's not like you have to worry about it. There are only 5 options. I will not recommend you to look at what is the start and see whether that makes sense. I think you should just read the 5 sentences and figure out there are any connections that you can actually see there, and then or anything, any clues. It doesn't matter. Sometimes the start is obvious. Sometimes the end is obvious. Sometimes you can see some linkages. Sometimes you can say that okay, this should come first, this should come later. So you can look at pick a few kind of hints of that you're absolutely sure of, and take that to the answer choice and see whether you can eliminate. Most of the time you can eliminate. Okay, let's look at each sentence and see what the sentence is talking about. We have to look at function of each sentence, ladies and gentlemen. This is Russia's Wild West, though the mountains lie to the south of Moscow and St. Petersburg. So this is something else. There's a reference to something that is Russia's Wild West. So there's a place being said there. Okay. Number 2, the Caucasus range has throughout history held Russians, especially fierce nationalist like in fear and awe. Caucasus, I think this is a region. I think Georgia. I think Georgia, Azerbaijan, and those areas. I think near Caspian Sea. That's Caucasus. The way in which I know this Caucasus is because there is this channel, YouTube channel by this guy. I think his name is George. I don't know. I don't know whether how you pronounce, whether it's pronounced George or I don't know. Okay. This guy he cooks stuff. He's in his house. He cooks a lot of stuff and he keeps talking about his Caucasus food. Interesting. It's a complete good videos. Anyways, I'm not recommending you should watch them, but I'm just saying it. Okay. Anyway, so coming back to the point here is saying that the Caucasus range has throughout history held a special fears in fear and awe. So now he's talking about a range, and you immediately get a sense that this could be a good start, right? And you have these 3 sentences starting with here, which is interesting. Okay, so you probably would say that it has to go from 2 and then going to 3, 4, and 5 in some order. It's something that you can probably think of. So you have that that not happening here, because 2 and then 3, that is not happening in answer choice number E as well. So it's happening in B and C for sure. This is 2, 3, 4, 5 in that particular sense. Then you see that should a kind of 1 come before 2? This is Russia's Wild West. This is Russia's Wild West. I think it had to be starting with 2 and then moving. So this probably will be unlikely as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, let's carry on here. Let's look at 3. Here between the Black and Caspian Seas is a land bridge where Europe gradually vanishes amid a 600-mile chain of mountains as high as 18,000 feet, mesmerizing in their spangled beauty, especially after the yawning and flat mileage of the steppe land to the north. So if you actually look at number 3, it's actually explaining or describing the land, the region. This is describing the region. This is about that region. And if you look at 4, here since the 7th century, Russian colonizers have tried to subdue congeries of proud people, Chechens, Ingushites, Ossetians, others. And 4 said the Russians encountered. This is actually talking about what Russians did. Russians encountered in Islam. The Russians colonizers did a lot of things here. This actually 4 and 5 is actually describing about what that land means, right? To Russians. This is Russia's Wild West. This is Russia's Wild West. So you immediately see that there is this 2, 3 is a block, right? 2 describes the land, and 3 kinds of saying the 2 mentions the range, and the 3 describes the range. You see that 2, 3 as a block, which actually get the 2, 4, 3 doesn't make sense. That gets out of the way. So then you know that it had to be in the order. 1 can't be the start here. This is Russia's Wild West. Though the mountains lie in the south of Moscow and St. Petersburg, though the mountains, we need to have some reference to the mountains. That is mountain chain of mountains is mentioned there. So that reference is to that mountain. You can see that their connection as well. So it has to go in that 2, 3, 1 as an order, which makes sense with B. So I'm sure that you would have got something else as well. You may have felt that 2 is a start. But the point that I'm saying is that in this kind of questions, when you have paragraph jumble with options, you can work with a few clues, and then you can eliminate options. Let's work with the next question. Read the following statement, answer the question that follows. Which of the following is the best logical order? Let's read. The periodic table orders the element in a way that helps us understand why atoms behave as they do. The properties of the elements are due to electronic configuration, and the recurring patterns, the pattern gives rise to periodicity. 3, in other words, what gives the element their properties and what order lies below the surface of this seemingly random nature. 4, what makes fluorine react violently with cesium, while its nearest neighbor neon is reluctant to react with anything. So you see that in other words, it's kind of clarifying things. There's a clarification. So you raised a question, and then there is some more clarification that happens. So obviously you know that this is, I'm not saying the 3 has to come immediately after 4. I'm saying the 3 has to come sometime after 4 at least. And you see all this connection here. This says, number 1 says the periodic table elements in a way that helps us to understand why atoms behave as they do. Why do atoms behave as they do? And why do atoms behave as they do? And this is actually a connection there. Now, what makes fluorine? Why do fluorines react violently in cesium? It's a specific question that is being raised. So as a clarification of a description of that assertion that is being made there in number 1. So you can actually see in some order it has to go from 1, 4, 3, and that probably would be good enough for us to kind of nail it. This is not 1, 4, 3. There is a 1, 4, 3 here. There is no 1, 4, 3 in C. There is no 1, 4, 3 in D. There is no 1, 4, 3 there. Okay. You really do not have to figure out. You could have probably said 4 then 3 as well. If 4 then 3, if you look at 4 then 3, if you get that, at least that's connected. So this is not 4, 3. This is not 4, 3. This is not 4, 3. There are only 2 things that is left. Then you can evaluate the rest as well. So for 4, 3, 1 doesn't make any sense as well. So you see that 4, 3, 1 will not make sense. You cannot start by asking this question, random question out of the blue, and then get back to 1 and get there. So yeah. So answer the question is answer choice number B, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at question number 5. Fill in the blanks or these kind of questions. The one thing that you have to do is first to read everything with the blanks, and the next thing that you want to do is make a guess of what could be the probable word that you can actually fit in there. So that's make a guess. It can be in your own language, it can be in any language, and then look at the answer choices here. Okay, we have got 3 blanks, and I've got a lot of words that is mentioned here, and there are already I can see a lot of variation of the words that I picked. This should be fine. This may not be too much of a trouble, ladies and gentlemen. So let's have a read here. The serious study of popular films by critics is regularly credited with having rendered obsolete and once dominant view that popular mainstream films are inherently inferior to art films. Yet, the change of attitude may be somewhat blank. Although it is now academically respectable to analyze popular films, the fact that many critics feel compelled to rationalize their own blank action movies or mass market fiction reveals, perhaps unwittingly, their continued blank the old hierarchy of popular and art films. So you get a sense of what discussion is happening about critics and their views about this popular film, and the author is not really in on it. You actually can see we use the word yet. There's a transition which is kind of saying that I don't think so. That sense you get, right? The serious study of popular films by critics is regularly credited with having rendered obsolete one's dominant view. So there was a dominant view that the popular films are not inferior to art film is superior. That has been rendered obsolete, but yet the change of attitude may be somewhat not good. I think that you want to look at the word which is probably negative. That's what you're hitting. 1, 3, 3, 4, 6. Let's look at 1. Somewhat unproductive. One productive doesn't. There's no productivity issue here. That does not give a sense. No, 1 doesn't make sense. What about 3? Overstated. That's good. Somewhat overstated. It's like overstating. You tone it down, man. You're saying that you're giving too much credit. You use the word yet there, which creates a transition. So overstated is good. Overstated pretty good. 4 and 6. What is 4? Penchant for. What do you mean? Somewhat penchant for. Penchant for what? 6 is saying investment in what investment in what? So obviously you know that this would not be these words. All these are getting eliminated. 2 or 4 for the second one. Let's have a look at. Although it is now academically respectable to analyze popular films, the fact that many critics feel compelled to rationalize their own blank action movies. Let's look at what 2 says. They're on not appreciated action. They're on not appreciated action movie. Yeah. And for 4 is saying they're on penchant for action movie. They're on liking towards action movie. That makes sense. Therefore, it has to be 3, 4, 6. You don't have to even check for 6. We may still look at their continued investment in the old hierarchy of popular and art films. So there you go. So not bad, not bad. So let's look at which of the following is grammatically correct and meaningful. So we have these 5 options. One of them is we are looking at grammatically correct ones. There is incorrect ones. You can actually. So what you have to do is that you can pick one of the sentences, read that sentence completely, try to understand what is the message that the sentence is trying to say. And once you understand what the message sentence is trying to say, look at which sentence has some problem. So let's look at here and just read A, because A is the first one. I want to join an MBA college that is not only the best in the country but also provides the best campus job. So obviously there is a not only but also construction, and you can see this not only but also construction everywhere. Not only but also, and there is a not only but also construction everywhere. So that's what it is. Where there's not only, there must be a but also. So you're saying there is one thing but also this. So you want, so you obviously would want those two things to be in aligned in that sense about talking. If it is negative, then that's be negative. If it is positive, this should be positive. That's more better sense. Other thing that you actually see is that the first part, I want to join MBA college that is not only the best. I want to join the MBA college that not only the best. I want to join the MBA college that not only the best. I want to join the MBA college not only good. So this one now goes on to say not only good. I want to join MBA college that I found not only best. I want to join MBA college that I found not only best. That is strange. I want to join an MBA college that I found not only best. First of all, not only, you should be the best. Okay, so that's another problem there. So you know that is problematic. And if you look at the second part, but also not only best in the country, but also provides the best campus job, which is fine. Look at B. Not only best in the country, but also I can get good job. That is crazy. Not only the best in the country, but also I can get good job. I don't know how to explain this. You know the problem there. I think if you're a good grammar teacher, can say that obviously there's a problem. That's a clear problem. There's a problem. Not only the best, but I can get, but also I can get a good job. What do you mean I can get good job? C. Not only the best in the country, but also best in job. What do you mean best in job? I think grammatically probably there's no problem with C, but I think logically it has got a problem. MBA college is not better in job. That's not what is being mentioned. He's saying that it has to provide the best job in the campus. So C also doesn't make sense. B doesn't make sense. I want to join MBA college that is not only good, but also I can get good job. Same problem like B. So E also doesn't make sense. Okay, so obviously A. This is fine. Read the following stanza and answer the question that follows. We have a poem, ladies and gentlemen. Whenever you read a poem, what you have to do is, if you want to really understand a poem, is that there are these punctuations, right? So there you can see this punctuation. You should keep on reading till a punctuation, make a pause, and keep on reading. So you connect the. So for example, you say, if I read this, you read till the punctuation. So for example, and yonder stars, stop. And yonder stars, stop. Are there not pearls floating on teeming seas? So connect like that. Okay, so that's the best way to kind of read this one. So let's have a look at again a poem. Like I said before, we are essentially going to look at what we're going to look at the imagery that the poem is trying to say, the hidden meaning, or what is being revealed by the poem, which is may not be explicitly, very accurately, or explicitly written in the stanza, but what the stanza reveals to you, that's what we should look at. Okay, invisible atoms coming together, revealing themselves in visible forms. Seeds are hugged by the earth, which renders them as gardens in bloom. And yonder stars, are they not pearls floating on teeming seas? Scattered yet strung together in orderly constellations, love binding them to one another, and each is perpetually seeing its like. So immediately you get a sense, invisible atom, things are coming together and becoming something. Seeds are hugged by the earth, which renders garden the blue. Yonder, they are not pearls, scattered yet strung together in orderly constellation, love binding one another. So you have a lot of different things that kind of are strung together, connected together. So that's a sense that you get. So these are all things that invisible atoms coming together to create something that is visible. There you have got seeds that are hugged by earth and render something amazing, and you have got stars that is strung together creating constellation. Love is binding together, each is purposely seeing is alike. So we have got some connections, ladies and gentlemen. This is some sort of a connection between things, and that's the sense that you want to get, which is the following best captures the spirit of the above stanza. Stars and seas are similar. What? No, all rivers flow into ocean. Now, so this is kind of saying the destination of something. There is a destination for something. That's not what he's saying. It's not saying that everything has got a destination. More like saying that everything is coming together and becoming something amazing. And this is like all rivers flow into ocean. And these are not even the same ocean. Some rivers flow into that ocean. You go to this ocean. You go there. Hey, you don't come here. You go to that ocean. No. See, united we stand, divided we fall. So, okay, this problem is divided we fall. There is no sense that author is trying to communicate, or the poet is trying to communicate, that this is about divisions that is there, and if you're not together, there's going to be a problem. There is no problem that you see. What you actually see is the fact that the poet is telling us that we're all connected together with some invisible force. Something is binding all of us together. There are a lot of that connection that we can see. After the cat, we connected together with all the pain and shared those feelings with everyone. And then somebody said, I did actually well. What? Okay. Love dissolves all religious differences. Why should there be any religious differences? Do you see religion anywhere else? Nowhere. Something invisible binds disparate objects. That is the correct answer. There is something that binds. So obviously you have a problem by saying that what is invisible, sir? Where is invisible? Okay, it's okay. Invisible atom. Love is invisible. Something invisible binds a disparate object is the spirit of the stanza. There is something that binding us together. There is something connecting the things together, different things together. That's what it is. So, answer choice, ladies and gentlemen, is E. I'm sure that you will agree with me. Carefully read the statements below. Which of the following above are correct in grammar and meaning? Chatterjee loves book. Colon. Therefore, comma. He reads them all the time. There is no problem with that sentence. And actually, this colon can be also converted into full stops. That's okay. Chatterjee loves books. Full stop. Therefore, comma, he reads them all the time. There's no problem. Chatterjee loves book and, comma, therefore, comma, reads them all the time. That's fine. So when we actually created this column, you have to use a pronoun there to say that is being connected. Here the pronoun is not required. Chatterjee loves the book and therefore reads them all the time. Chatterjee loves books and reads them. So obviously this is connected to loving books. It's okay. Chatterjee loves. That's also fine. Chatterjee is singular as a person type. Okay, everything is fine. 1, 2, and 3, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look at 9. Read the following option and answer the question that follows. On Friday morning, dieting supplement sales company Herbalife agreed to pay the US Federal Trade Commission $200 million fine. The FTC said Herbalife cheated hopeful salespeople out of hundreds of millions of dollars with a high-pressure multi-level marketing scheme. Oh, Herbalife stock received an immediate 15% increase following the above news. The company also announced that it would hire a second former FTC commissioner in a press release describing the term settlement. What is increasing is that the stock received an immediate 50% increase. They agreed to pay a fine, and following the news, the stock increased. Which of the following option would imply that the 15% increase in stock is fair? I think this has to be fair, which means this is the right. It is right. There is something right about this. It's fine. So what is the news? The news is this company agreeing to pay. That is accepting a fault, right? So it accepted the fault, and the stock is reacting. The stock price is reacting that at least they accept the fault, which means probably in the future they will not do things like this. At least the company accepted something, so there's an increase. So that's what you want to see. That's the news, right? So you want to look at something that is fair. Let's look at the answer choice says here, ladies and gentlemen. Cheating results in increase in company's stock price. So first of all, this is not cheating result in increase. That's not the news, right? That's actually not the news. News is what? They're agreeing to pay the fine. Obviously, to pay the fine, prior to that, I'm sure that there would have been some hearing. The news about cheating would have broken much before them agreeing to pay the fine, right? Logically, if you think about it. Now they are saying that you have to pay the fine, which means they've been found guilty. Therefore, the story about the cheating coming to the light would have happened much before this news. This is not about cheating impacting the price increase. That's not what it is. When foreign companies are exposed, this is not even getting exposed. Their stock price increases. This is not being exposed. This is them agreeing to pay. They're already paying the fine. The exposure or the expose would have happened much earlier. Right, much earlier than this. So this is a situation where they've been charged a fine, and they are not contesting it. They're saying that okay, we will pay the fine. So that's not the case. The foreign companies are caught, same problem. Caught, their stock price initially goes down. But when it's going down, where is it going down? Acknowledgement of deceit increases the stock price of companies. That makes sense. You're acknowledging the deceit. That's a deceit. There's a deceit that happened. You're saying that you're agreeing to pay is also an implicit acknowledgement of the deceit, and that makes sense. That's a news. That's the news, right? Compliance with court order. It's not a court order. Can you see any court here? Is it a court? It's a court. FTC is US Federal Trade Commission. Is that a court? That's not a court order. That's not a court. That's not a court, ladies and gentlemen. Answer choice is D. Let's look at question number 11 and see where it is going. Okay. Worldwide, tomato, same thing, is one of the most important crops. Because this crop can be adapted for cultivation in various environments, ranging from tropical to alpine region, its cultivation area is now expanding worldwide into not so productive regions. So there is an expansion of area, and this expansion of area is the not so productive region, which means the output in this area is not going to be as higher as the other areas. On the other hand, traditional cultivation areas, the most favorable for tomato cultivation in the warmer is contracting. So the productive area is coming down, and the unproductive area is kind of increasing. Every year, traditional cultivation area loses 200 million hectares of land to environmental factors such as sanity. So this is 200 million hectares. So productive areas is coming down, unproductive areas increasing. So what is going to be the impact? Which is the following correct inference? Every question is talking about per hectare production. Per hectare production. So the per hectare production per hectare per area production per area. So when the not so productive is increasing and the productivity is decreasing, the production per area is going to decrease, right? It has increased worldwide would be incorrect. The hectare wastage of tomato, nothing about wastage is mentioned. Recently, a production of tomato has decreased worldwide. This is a logical conclusion that one can make. In recent years, wastage is not mentioned. Per production of tomato remain the same. There is nothing to say it should remain the same. Answer choice should be C. So you are actually the non-productive areas is increasing, the productive areas decreasing. The ratio of the production on that area of the total area obviously is going to reduce. That is a logical thing to say. Okay, let's look at question number 11. Grotesque is related to macabre in a similar way as what? Okay, first of all, you need to, obviously, this is a question that you need to understand the meaning of this word. Already we have necromancy, sorcery, the thanatology, paleontology is something you can understand. Marriage, funeral. So you have all these words. Grotesque is fine, macabre. So grotesque is something that is unpleasant. Macabre is also unpleasant, but macabre is also unpleasant feeling of death or thinking about death. Macabre is also have the element of death. It's that unpleasantment coming from death. So this is a general unpleasantment. This is a specific unpleasantment. Makes sense. Classic is related to ruins. So ruins is okay, a death, but classic and ruins has got no relation. At least these are both related in the sense of unpleasantness. One is specific to death, other is much more general unpleasantness. History is not related to paleontology. Paleontology is studying about fossils, but history is also about the past. This does not have the connection. Marriage is related to funeral. This is like crazy relationship. Marriage. Sorcery is related to necromancy. So, okay, sorcery is black magic. Necromancy is black magic related to death. So that's necro is death. Okay, so that's what it is. So sorcery is black magic in general. Necromancy is black magic related to death. I think that this is where you speak to the dead and things like those. Both are black stuff or things like that. So this would be the better ones. One is a general unpleasantness. Unpleasant related to death. Sorcery, a general sort of black magic. Necromancy, black magic related to death. So that is relationship. Science are related to thanatology. Thanatology, I believe, is study of death, or something like that. That is what thanatology is. But that is not. That's this kind of a subset of it. So this is not it. Its answer choice would be the much more related to this. This is probably a toughie question. You probably would have not solve this unless of course you know the meaning of the word. Let's look at question number 12. Choose the option that with all the underlined words and the correct accent. You need to look at accent, underlined syllable that fits within the blank. So yeah, these underlined syllables. Affect. Actually, first of all, you can actually look at the underlined syllable. So a syllable with the correct accent. That would probably make sense. Affect. You don't say you say affect. So this affect, effect, you don't say that, effect. So A goes, affect, effect, that goes. Affect, affected. That makes sense. Effect, affect, doesn't make sense. Okay. Goes, effect. I actually answered C. So you could have answered that question without looking at these options. First of all, affect and effect is kind of, effect is a noun. And affect is kind of a verb. Both are. Affect is also something. Effect that is going to happen, but affect is more a verb, and effect is a noun. So that also you can answer that question like that as well. You look at this. The suspension of the company may affect the number of spectators who turn to the match. That's a verb should be used, verb form. Transportation costs will directly affect. That's also a verb form. So both should be affect. The first two should be affect. That's also answer choice number C as well. The grandmother's advanced age could affect her ability. Again, a verb form. That those three are the same. Affect. And she affected a text and accent throughout her interview. That's also fine. So answer choice C. So kind of, I think that's a part one of this video. So what do you think about VA verbal questions in the XAT? Do you think that it is that painful, that difficult? Of course, there are going to be certain question which is probably painful, but then. If you have kind of prepared for the CAT, I'm sure that whatever is the preparation that you had, you can still do well in this particular case. And in the next video, probably I'll record it tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow. Let me see if I can get some time, and then I will put the part 2 of this, which has to do with reading comprehension. Let me know if you want more videos like this, and I'll surely do it. Or let me know if there is anything specifically you want me to do for XAT, and I can probably do a couple of videos to help you out, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you. Bye bye. See you in the next part.